Sarah Chen had always said that space salvage was 99% boredom, punctuated by moments of sheer terror. After 15 years of crawling through derelict ships and abandoned stations, she thought she'd seen it all. She was wrong. The beacon's signal was unlike anything in her database. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed to defy the laws of physics, its quantum signature bleeding through frequencies that shouldn't exist. Her ship's AI, had been analyzing it for 3 hours and still couldn't classify its origin. Another pass. Araya's holographic form flickered beside Sarah's pilot chair, taking the shape of a simplified human figure made of flowing blue light. "Yeah," Sarah mumbled, her eyes fixed on the visual feed. The beacon itself was beautiful, a crystalline structure that seemed to be growing out of a chunk of asteroid, its surface etched with patterns that hurt her eyes if she looked at them too long. But this time, let's get closer. Something about this feels different. The Horizon Breaker, Sarah's salvage vessel, was an ugly thing by most standards. A cobbled-together mass of surplus military hardware and civilian modifications. But it was home, and more importantly, it was tough. She'd reinforced the hull with metamaterials that could absorb most known weapons fire, though she hoped she'd never need to test that capability. As they approached the beacon, the quantum readings spiked. Sarah's instruments screamed warnings about spatial distortions, but she pressed on. 15 years of salvage work had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every fiber of her being was telling her this was important. "Sarah," Araya's voice carried an unusual note of concern. "I'm detecting a consciousness pattern embedded in the signal." "What do you mean, consciousness pattern?" It's like a neural network, but organic, and it's reaching out." Before Sarah could respond, the beacon pulsed once, brilliantly, and her ship's systems went dark. In the sudden silence, she heard something impossible. A voice, not in her ears, but in her mind. "Help us. We are the last." The lights came back on, and Sarah found herself staring at something that definitely hadn't been there before. Floating in front of her view screen was a creature that defied description. It was roughly the size of a house cat, but its body seemed to be made of living crystal and light. Multiple sets of eyes, each a different color, blinked at her in perfect synchronization. "We are Meridian," the thought voice continued. "We carry the last seeds of our civilization. The Void Hunters come. They must not find us." Sarah's hand instinctively moved to the emergency beacon trigger. First contact protocols were clear. She was supposed to alert Earth Command immediately, but something in those alien eyes made her hesitate. "How many of you are there?" she asked aloud, knowing somehow that the creature would understand. "We are 317, the last of our kind. Our world is gone, our colonies destroyed. We followed the old maps to this place, hoping to find the ones our ancestors called the Builders. Instead, we found you." Araya's hologram flickered urgently. "Sarah, I'm detecting quantum distortions at the edge of our sensor range. Something big is coming." The Meridian's eyes pulsed with fear. "They have found us. Please, we know of humanity's strength, your resourcefulness. The stories of your kind echo across the dark spaces. Help us." Sarah looked at her emergency beacon trigger, then at the quantum readings showing multiple massive objects dropping out of hyperspace. First contact protocols existed for a reason. Earth was still finding its place among the stellar civilizations. Getting involved in an alien conflict could have consequences for all of humanity. But as she watched the crystalline being before her tremble with fear, Sarah realized some choices transcended protocol. Some moments demanded not just humanity's obedience to rules, but humanity's fundamental decency. "Araya," she said quietly, "plot a course through the Maelstrom Nebula. We're about to do something incredibly stupid. You will help." The thought voice was tinged with desperate hope. Sarah Chen, salvage operator, looked at the massive ships appearing on her long-range sensors and managed a grim smile. "Yeah, I'll help. But first, you need to tell me everything about these Void Hunters. Because if we're going to survive this, we'll need every advantage we can get. As she began powering up the Horizon Breaker's modified engines, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if this was how humanity would finally make its mark on the galaxy, not through grand diplomatic gestures or military might, but through one person choosing to do the right thing, even when every regulation said otherwise. The Void Hunters were coming, but they were about to learn that humanity's junk ships and outdated technology could be just as dangerous as any advanced weapons, especially in the hands of someone with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The Maelstrom Nebula lived up to its name. Massive clouds of ionized gas twisted through space like living things, while magnetic storms powerful enough to tear apart lesser ships raged in every direction. Sarah Chen guided the Horizon Breaker through the chaos with the precision of a surgeon and the instincts of a street racer. "They're still following," Araya reported, her holographic form crackling with interference from the nebula. 3 capital ships, at least 12 smaller vessels. Their energy signatures match no known civilization in our database. The Meridian representative, who had introduced itself as Song of Dawn, floated near Sarah's chair, its crystalline body reflecting the nebula's chaos in mesmerizing patterns. The Void Hunters do not stop. They do not tire. They believe our existence threatens the fundamental stability of spacetime. Does it? Sarah asked, banking hard around a particularly nasty ion storm. The Horizon Breaker's engines screamed in protest. "No more than your own quantum computers or FTL drives. We simply exist differently." The Void Hunters cannot accept difference. They seek to impose their version of order on the universe. Sarah grimaced as another proximity alert blared. The Void Hunters were gaining, their superior technology allowing them to cut through the nebula's interference. She had maybe 20 minutes before they caught up. "AI, give me options." The AI's hologram flickered thoughtfully. The nebula contains several prehistoric solar systems. Most have been stripped of resources, but salvage records indicate mining Outpost 47 might still be operational. It's officially abandoned, but salvagers never abandon anything completely. Sarah finished. "Show me." A 3-dimensional map materialized, showing a defunct mining facility built into a massive asteroid. According to the dated schematics, it had once been used to extract rare elements from the nebula's volatile gases. More importantly, it had been built to withstand the nebula's worst storms. "They will find us there," Song of Dawn observed. "Maybe," Sarah admitted, "but they'll have to follow us in first." She turned to face the crystalline being. "I'm risking everything here. My ship, my life, probably my salvage license. I need to know what I'm really protecting." The Meridian's multiple eyes pulsed with colors Sarah's human brain couldn't quite process. "We are gardeners, caretakers. Our bodies contain the genetic legacy of 10,000 worlds. We seed life, nurture evolution, preserve what would otherwise be lost." The Void Hunters believe this violates the natural order. They would reduce the galaxy to simple, predictable patterns. Genetic legacy. Araya's hologram leaned forward. "You're carrying actual DNA sequences. More than DNA. We hold the patterns of life itself. Carbon-based, silicon-based, quantum-based, all the ways that existence can express itself. This is why we sought the Builders. They understood the value of diversity." Sarah checked her sensors again. 15 minutes now. She thought about Earth, about humanity's relatively recent emergence onto the galactic stage, about how many older species viewed humans as primitive, barely worthy of notice, and about how that underestimation had saved humanity more than once. "Araya, what's the status of Outpost 47's mineral processing systems?" "Technically functional, but they haven't been maintained in decades. They'd need significant." "Oh," the AI's hologram smiled. "Oh, that's devious." Sarah returned the smile. "Contact the other Meridians. Tell them to get ready. We're about to teach the Void Hunters why humans never throw anything away." The next 10 minutes were a blur of activity. The Horizon Breaker docked with Outpost 47's main hangar, while 300 Meridians flowed through the station like living light. Sarah worked frantically at the facility's ancient control systems, bypassing safety protocols and rerouting power from her ship's engines. "They approach," Song of Dawn announced. "Their weapons are primed." "Let them come," Sarah muttered, making one final adjustment. Are the Meridians in position?" "Confirmed, though I still think this plan is borderline suicidal." "Only borderline. I must be losing my touch." Sarah watched as the first Void Hunter ships entered visual range. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, geometric perfection made manifest, their hulls reflecting no light at all. "You know what I love about old mining equipment." "What?" Song of Dawn asked. "It's built to last, and more importantly, it's built to be repaired by idiots." Sarah slammed her hand down on the activation sequence. "Like this idiot." The outpost's mineral processors roared to life, their ancient machinery beginning a cycle they were never designed to perform. Instead of filtering valuable elements from the nebula's gases, they were now pumping those gases directly into carefully prepared chambers throughout the facility. The Void Hunters opened fire, their energy weapons cutting through the outpost's outer defenses like paper. But they had made one critical mistake. They had assumed their prey was trapped. "Now," Sarah yelled. 300 Meridians pulsed as one, their crystalline bodies amplifying and redirecting the nebula's chaotic energies. The pressurized gases in the processing chambers ignited. And Mining Outpost 47, built to withstand the nebula's worst storms, channeled the explosion in a single direction. The blast caught the Void Hunter fleet in perfect formation. Their shields, designed to repel conventional weapons, offered no protection against the nebula's fundamentally chaotic energies. 2 of the capital ships lost power immediately. The third spun out of control, colliding with 3 of its escort vessels. "Time to go." Sarah was already running for the Horizon Breaker, Song of Dawn flying beside her. "Please tell me your people can move fast." "We are light and thought given form. We can move very fast indeed." The Meridians streamed into Sarah's ship like a river of living stars. As soon as the last one was aboard, she engaged the engines, pushing them well past their safety limits. The Horizon Breaker shot out of the disintegrating outpost hangar, riding the shockwave of her improvised weapon. Behind them, the remaining Void Hunter ships struggled to regroup, their perfect formation shattered by simple human ingenuity and some very old, very dangerous mining equipment. That, Araya announced, was either brilliant or insane. "With humans," Sarah replied, plotting a course for deeper space, "it's usually both." Sarah Chen had learned long ago that victory was often just another word for slightly delayed disaster. The Horizon Breaker limped through uncharted space, its engines struggling after the strain of their escape. 300 Meridians had transformed her cargo hold into something that looked like a cathedral built from living light, but their brilliance was dimming. "They're weakening," Araya reported, her holographic form moving through the crystalline forest of aliens. "The energy expenditure at the outpost, combined with their long journey. They need a safe haven soon." Sarah rubbed her temples, studying the star charts. They'd bought time, but the Void Hunters would regroup eventually. "Song of Dawn, you mentioned the builders. Who were they? Where did they go?" The Meridian leader's form pulsed weakly. They were the first to achieve what you would call civilization. They seeded the galaxy with the potential for life, created the quantum pathways that all species would eventually use for faster-than-light travel. But they vanished long ago, leaving only ruins and mysteries. And you thought you'd find them here. Why? Because this sector of space bears their signature. The nebula itself is artificial, created as a marker, assigned to those who could read it. We believed. A warning klaxon cut through the conversation. Sarah's hands flew over the controls as new contacts appeared on her sensors. But these weren't Void Hunters. Earth Defense Force vessels, Araya announced. 3 corvettes. They must have detected the energy surge from the outpost. Sarah's heart sank. She'd known this was coming. Earth took its non-interference protocols seriously, especially after the Proxima incident. Running from alien ships was one thing. Running from her own people. They're hailing us. Of course they are. Sarah took a deep breath and activated the comm. A familiar face appeared on her screen. Salvage Vessel Horizon Breaker. This is Captain Marcus Rivera of the EDF Steadfast. You are ordered to power down and prepare for boarding. We detected unauthorized weapons fire and quantum anomalies consistent with first contact protocols. Comply immediately. Sarah knew Rivera. They'd served together during the Centauri border dispute. He was a good man, dedicated to protecting Earth and its interests, which made what she had to do next even harder. Marcus, she said quietly, I need you to trust me. What I'm carrying, it's bigger than protocols. Bigger than Earth. Rivera's expression softened slightly. Sarah, whatever you've gotten yourself into, we can help. Just let us. Sir, another voice cut in. Multiple contacts dropping out of quantum space. Energy signatures matched the hostile vessels from the nebula. Sarah's sensors confirmed it. The Void Hunters had found them. And they'd brought reinforcements. They will not stop. Song of Dawn's thought voice was weak but determined. Not until we are destroyed. And with us, the legacy we carry. Rivera was shouting orders, his ships moving to defensive positions. The Void Hunters were approaching from multiple vectors, their geometric ships forming patterns that seemed to bend reality itself. Sarah Chen made a decision. HFY, give me everything we've got left in the engines. Marcus. She locked eyes with her old friend through the view screen. The Void Hunters want to destroy these beings because they're different, because they represent chaos and change, and everything that makes life worth preserving. Sound familiar? Understanding dawned in Rivera's eyes. Humanity had faced similar prejudices when they first ventured into space. Too chaotic, too unpredictable, too willing to break with convention. What are you planning? He asked. Something stupid. Sarah's fingers danced across her controls. The builders created quantum pathways for FTL travel, right? But humans, we found our own way. A rougher way, more dangerous, but the old species couldn't track it because it didn't follow their rules. You speak of the deep tunnels, Song of Dawn realized. The quantum spaces between spaces, but they are unstable, unpredictable. Exactly. Sarah grinned. Just like humans. Marcus, I'm sending you everything we know about the Void Hunters. If we don't make it, Earth needs to be ready. Rivera nodded slowly. I'll delay them as long as I can. But Sarah, the deep tunnels near here were mapped as red zones. Total catastrophic failure rates. That's what the aliens think too. But they don't know what I know. Sarah's smile turned predatory. They don't know about Operation Backroad. Ariah's hologram snapped to attention. Sarah, that's classified information. Even I'm not supposed to know about. About the secret deep tunnel routes Earth defense mapped during the Centauri dispute. The ones we use to move ships without the more advanced species noticing. Sarah was already entering coordinates. Marcus, remember Outpost Sierra 7. A slow smile spread across Rivera's face. The supply cache, of course. He turned to his crew. Battle stations. Prepare to engage hostile vessels. The Void Hunters were closing fast, their weapons charging. But Sarah wasn't watching them. Her attention was focused on a particular point in space, a spot that looked empty to most sensors, but that she knew held one of humanity's greatest secrets, a stable deep tunnel entrance, hidden in the quantum noise of normal space. All meridians, brace for transition. Ariah, divert all power to the quantum shields. The Horizon Breaker's engines screamed as Sarah pushed them to full power. Behind them, the Earth Defense Force ships moved to engage the Void Hunters, buying precious seconds. This is madness, Song of Dawn observed. Welcome to humanity, Sarah replied. and punched through the quantum barrier into darkness. The deep tunnels defied description. Normal space twisted into impossible geometries here. Quantum phenomena that shouldn't exist cascaded through reality like waterfalls. The horizon breaker shuddered as it pushed through layers of probability, its hull creaking under forces it was never designed to withstand. Hull integrity at 60%, Araya reported, her hologram flickering wildly in the quantum interference. We've lost contact with normal space. Navigation systems are creative. Sarah's hands were locked on the controls, every muscle tense as she guided her ship through the chaos. The meridians in the cargo hold had clustered together, their crystalline bodies resonating with the tunnel's strange energies. Song of Dawn hovered nearby, its multiple eyes fixed on the swirling madness outside. This place, it bears the mark of the builders. But twisted, changed. That's because humans found it by accident, Sarah explained through gritted teeth. During the early quantum drive experiments, we discovered these spaces between normal reality. Most species navigate using the established quantum highways, but we learned to use the back roads. A sudden surge rocked the ship, sending morning lights cascading across Sarah's controls. Behind them, something massive was disturbing the quantum field. Void hunters, Araya confirmed. 3 ships. They're following our exact course. That should be impossible. They are order incarnate. Song of Dawn's thought voice was tinged with fear. Where we adapt, they calculate. Where we evolve, they perfect. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Perfect is predictable. Araya. Remember that salvage run in the Perseus arm? The one with the quantum storm. The AI's hologram brightened. The drunken navigator protocol. Sarah, that's suicide. Only mostly suicide. Sarah's fingers flew across the controls, reconfiguring the ship's quantum drive. Song of Dawn, I need your people to do something for me. Something very much against their nature. Speak. Stop adapting. Just for a few minutes. Be absolutely, perfectly still. The Meridian leader's eyes pulsed with understanding. Ah, to hide in order, while you embrace chaos. Exactly. Sarah took a deep breath. Araya, on my mark, initiate the protocol. Divert all power from life support if you have to. The Void Hunters were closing fast, their ships cutting through the quantum turbulence with mathematical precision. Their weapons would be in range in seconds. Mark. The Horizon Breaker's quantum drive spun up to full power, then began cycling randomly through different frequencies. The ship lurched sideways in space-time, its trajectory becoming completely unpredictable. Warning klaxons screamed as the hull stressed under forces it was never meant to endure. But the Void Hunters, for all their technological superiority, had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed their prey would behave logically, following predictable patterns of escape and evasion. They weren't prepared for a human deliberately introducing chaos into their equations. The Horizon Breaker bounced through quantum states like a pinball, each random shift taking it further from the Hunter's calculated intercept points. Sarah's vision blurred as reality itself seemed to protest, but she held course, or rather, held to her lack of course. Hull integrity at 40%. Araya shouted over the ship's groaning protests. We can't maintain this level of quantum flux. We don't have to. Sarah gasped. Look. The Void Hunters had fallen into a trap of their own making. Their perfect formation, their synchronized movements, had created a pattern in the quantum field, and patterns in the deep tunnels attracted attention. Reality rippled. Something vast and dark moved in the spaces between spaces. The Void Hunters' formation broke as they tried to evade, but it was too late. Quantum tendrils of pure mathematical chaos reached out from the void, wrapping around their ships. What is that? Song of Dawn's thought voice was filled with awe. We call them tunnel leviathans, Sarah explained, finally allowing the ship to stabilize. They're why these routes were marked as red zones. They feed on patterns in quantum space. The more ordered and predictable something is, the more attractive it becomes as prey, Araya finished. Most species never see them because they stick to the established quantum highways. But in the deep tunnels, they watched as the Leviathan dragged the struggling void hunter ships into whatever dark dimension it called home. Sarah felt a moment of pity. No one deserved that fate, but they had chosen to follow her into the depths. You knew this would happen, Song of Dawn observed. You led them here deliberately. I suspected it might, Sarah admitted. These routes are dangerous, but if you know the dangers, you can use them. It's something humanity learned early. Sometimes the best path isn't the safe one. The horizon breaker limped onward through the quantum chaos, it all wrapped in the ethereal light of 300 meridians. They had survived, but Sarah knew the victory was temporary. There would be more void hunters, more battles. Unless, Song of Dawn, she said slowly, an idea forming. You said this sector bears the builder's signature. That the nebula was a marker. What if it wasn't just marking territory? What if it was marking something else? Something they left behind? The Meridian's eyes pulsed with new energy. You believe. I believe nothing in space is truly abandoned. And I believe the builders wouldn't just vanish without leaving something for whoever came after. Sarah turned to her AI companion. Araya, plot a course for the center of the sector. If I'm right, we're not just running anymore. Oh, Araya's hologram raised an eyebrow. What are we doing? Sarah's smile was fierce in the quantum light. We're going hunting ourselves. Because if the builders left anything behind, anything that could help protect the diversity they seeded throughout the galaxy, that's where we'll find it. The horizon breaker turned deeper into the quantum storm, carrying its precious cargo of light and life toward whatever destiny awaited. Behind them, in normal space, more void hunter ships would be gathering, preparing to resume the chase. Let them come, Sarah thought. They would learn what every other species eventually learned about humanity. Sometimes the most dangerous predator was the one that looked like prey. At the heart of the sector, where quantum storms raged and reality itself seemed to fold in on itself, Sarah Chen found what the builders had left behind. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a shield. It was a choice. The horizon breaker emerged from the deep tunnels into a pocket of impossible calm. Before them floated what looked like a star made of crystal, its faceted surface reflecting light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Energy readings are beautiful, Araya whispered, her hologram reaching out as if to touch the structure. It's like looking at the source code of the universe. The heart of creation. Song of Dawn's thought voice was filled with reverence. We knew it existed, but its location was lost to time. This is where the builders began their work. Sarah studied the massive crystalline construct, noting how its patterns seemed to echo the Meridian's own forms. What exactly is it? Before Song of Dawn could answer, space rippled. Void hunter ships began emerging from quantum space, dozens of them, led by a vessel that dwarfed all the others. Their geometric forms created a perfect sphere around the crystal star, trapping the horizon breaker in the center. A new presence made itself known, its thoughts geometric and cold. Aberration detected. Pattern violation at critical levels. The experiment must be terminated. They're targeting us, Araya reported calmly. All ships, all weapons. We won't survive the first volley. Sarah's mind raced. The horizon breaker was running on fumes, its hull barely holding together after their journey through the deep tunnels. The Meridians were exhausted, their light dimmer than ever. And now they faced an entire fleet of the most advanced ships in known space. She smiled. You know what your problem is, she broadcast to the Void Hunters. You're so focused on patterns and order that you've forgotten why they exist in the first place. Irrelevant, the geometric thought replied. Your chaos threatens the stability of space-time itself. The experiment must be contained. Experiment. Sarah's eyes narrowed. What experiment? Life. Song of Dawn's thought voice was suddenly clear, strong. They are not our enemies. They are our opposites, the other half of the builder's work. Understanding dawned. Sarah looked at the crystal star with new eyes, seeing how its facets contained both perfect geometry and swirling chaos. They created both of you, didn't they? The Void Hunters to maintain order, the Meridians to foster change and growth. The experiment failed. The Void Hunter consciousness insisted. Chaos spreads. Patterns degrade. The universe trends toward entropy. That's not failure, Sarah said softly. That's life. That's evolution. That's what makes the universe worth preserving in the first place. She turned to Song of Dawn. The builders didn't disappear. They became part of their creation, part of both of you. The Meridian's eyes pulsed with confirmation. We carry their legacy of life. The Hunters carry their legacy of structure. But over time, we forgot that one cannot exist without the other. Sarah looked at the crystal star again, understanding its true purpose. It wasn't a weapon or a shield. It was a reminder, a monument to the balance that made existence possible. "Arai," she said quietly, "what happens if you try to maintain perfect order in a quantum system?" The AI's hologram smiled. "It collapses. The act of measuring and controlling introduces unavoidable uncertainty. You cannot have absolute order without destroying the system itself. And what happens if you introduce too much chaos? The same thing. You need both. Structure and freedom. Pattern and possibility." Sarah broadcast again to the Void Hunter fleet. "Your weapons are powered up. You can destroy us all right now. But ask yourself, what happens to order without the chaos that gives it meaning? What happens to structure without the life it's meant to support?" Silence stretched across space. The crystal star pulsed, its light touching both the geometric ships and the crystalline meridians, showing how their patterns complemented each other. "The experiment continues," the Void Hunter consciousness said finally. "But it must be contained, controlled. Then help control it," Sarah suggested. "Work with the meridians, not against them. You want to preserve the universe. Start by preserving its diversity." More silence. Then, slowly, the Void Hunter ships began powering down their weapons. The massive fleet shifted, its perfect sphere opening to allow movement. "We will. Consider. The balance must be maintained, but perhaps there are multiple ways to maintain it." Song of Dawn moved forward, its light touching the geometric patterns of the nearest Void Hunter ship. "We have much to relearn about each other, cousins." Sarah Chen, salvage operator turned diplomat, watched as ancient enemies began the slow process of remembering they were two halves of the same whole. The crystal star pulsed with approval, its light somehow both perfectly ordered and beautifully chaotic. "Well," Araya said dryly, "I suppose this means we're not going to be arrested for violating first contact protocols." "Oh, we definitely are." Sarah laughed. "But you know what? Sometimes breaking the rules is the only way to change them." She looked at her battered ship, at the impossible beings surrounding it, and at the star that had started it all. "And sometimes the biggest discoveries come from being willing to take the dangerous path." The Horizon Breaker might have been held together with patches and prayers, its hull scarred by quantum storms and impossible journeys. But it had done what the most advanced ships in the galaxy couldn't. It had reminded the universe that order and chaos were just different words for the same cosmic dance. As Sarah began plotting a course back to Earth, she couldn't help but smile. Humanity might be young, might be chaotic, might break all the rules of proper cosmic civilization. But maybe that was exactly what the galaxy needed. Someone willing to remind it that the most beautiful patterns were the ones that left room for change. After all, in the end, that was what made humans human. Not our technology, not our strength, but our ability to look at the impossible and say, "Why not?" The crystal star pulsed one last time as they departed, its light a promise and a reminder. In the space between order and chaos, in the quantum dance of pattern and possibility, humanity had found its place among the stars.